Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. As you can see, we are home. We have been not very talkative on the channel recently just because we've had a lot of things going on over the last couple weeks. So I want to give just a quick synopsis of everything that's been happening in our lives for who knows how long since we did our last sit down video. Do you know how long it's been, Mark? Mark doesn't know. Okay, so back the start of April 8th-ish or something like that. Okay, so Wayland asked Virginia for her hand in marriage. That was, if you look back on the videos of courtship, on all of that, you can see the timing of that. But he asked Mark and I about some future plans and what timings looked like for things. He was not trying to be subversive in any way of asking too early for her hand in marriage, but just some things that came up. And then that conversation where he was asking us timing made us realize that he was ready for marriage, that he was ready to protect Virginia, to protect her feelings, to help her walk through life. Just different things that came up that weekend showed us that he was ready. And so we went to him the next day and told him, yes, you may ask for her hand in marriage. And we kind of gave him some dates of when that would work. We had talked about a short engagements. Like it wasn't something we were forcing on him. We had told them at the start that it would be a short engagement of a matter of weeks, not months. So we all decided it was about 5.5 weeks from the time of the engagement to the wedding. And so we got into preparation mode for the wedding. We were helping them get ready, even though Virginia is like an amazing planner and already had a lot of stuff planned. Not like she wasn't going ahead of things in planning. She just already knew some things that she was interested in, things she had seen at other weddings, that type of thing. And she's the type of person that plans really well and really easily. So we just kind of sat back and let her do the planning and let her ask us for things that needed to be done. So we had, at that point, that gave us about 6 more weeks in Tennessee. So we were trying to finish up our things down there. We spent a lot of time with, we were getting together at that point once a week with Wayland's family. So we continued to do that. We went to the zoo a few more times. We got together with one of the college students, Sydney, that we had a really good time talking about. We talked about her too, talking to her just about the gospel and answering questions she had. We actually went to the zoo with her one time while we were down there and had her come over for a family game night. That was really fun. We got to see a brand new baby that was born in the church. We only got to see her a couple times before we left because she was born, 3 weeks maybe before we left the church. So that was fun to be able to see. We had talked about with the parents the whole time about what it was going to be like to have a new baby. This was their first and all of that. So then it was fun to see it through till she was born. We got to spend time with another family in the church that had had a baby a couple months prior. And just the time we got to know them, they were new to the church this year and when we went down. So it was good to get to meet them. There was another family in the church that we didn't know. They used to go to the church years ago and had recently, within the last year, returned, and we got to know them as we were down there. The family that hosted us, I could feel that sneeze coming on. The family that hosted us, we got to spend some time with them doing things. A favorite thing of mine while we were in Tennessee was going to Cades Cove, which is in the Smoky Mountains, and it was a large flat area in the middle of some mountains that back in the day, they could only get to. Yeah, we did a video on it, but back in the day, they could only get to it when it wasn't, they couldn't get there in the winter if the roads were closed. So it became its own little community, and you could go to these different cabins and churches that were there. But it was just beautiful. That was one thing we did that I wish we had had a chance to do again before we left, but life got really crazy in those last couple weeks. So we did all the stuff preparing to get ready to come home and the wedding. So we had been there for 7 months, so we had to pack up all of our stuff, which in the camper, there's some things you have to like take off shelves and stuff. That's not as big of a deal, as we had also gotten some space to live down there, like a large living room, I guess you could say, that was just like steps from the camper. And so we had to figure out how to move all that stuff back with us. So we loaded up the bus, we loaded up the camper, did it slowly over the course of a couple weeks, while we were getting ready for the wedding too, because I was trying to figure out what we were going to bring, how we were going to bring it, and all of that. So the wedding happened on a Saturday. So of course there's stuff leading up to it. Like one day we went with Virginia and Wayland, because if you watch their courtship videos, we didn't have them going places by themselves. That was kind of their rule too, but they weren't going places by themselves and stuff. So we like went with them to go get the marriage license. We dropped them all off, including Naomi, to go to the mall to go get the wedding rings. And so there was just days of that kind of stuff that happened. And then just spending time together in those last few weeks, just enjoying the last time that we were going to have with Virginia as part of our family. And Wayland was around a lot those last couple of weeks too, which was really fun. And the kids really, really enjoy Wayland. So we had the wedding on a Saturday. Saturday the 13th, was that the day? All the days are running together in my mind. We're here on the 30th. Like I'm doing this video on the 30th, and all of these days are running together. So on the 13th, we had the wedding. That was a Saturday. Sunday, we visited with our church family. And then we also got to visit with some dear friends, Gerald and Pamela. If you've watched my hospitality videos we made a while ago, I did a video about Pamela and just how great of hosts that they were. And we had found out actually the day of the wedding, they wrote to Mark and said, we're going to be joining you guys at church tomorrow. They had found the church on the website. It was just a neat story. And so we got to see them at church. On Sunday, had to say goodbye to all of our friends that day. Monday, we pretty much just spent the day finishing packing up the camper, getting it ready, because Tuesday morning we left bright and early. So this is Tuesday the 16th now. Left Tuesday morning bright and early to head, we were heading to Pennsylvania. Virginia.
We left 2 weeks ago today.
Oh, 2 weeks ago today. We left Tennessee to drive. We went to, we were headed to Pennsylvania. Virginia and Wayland were headed to Heart Cry Missionary Society in Roanoke, Virginia. And we followed them part of the way there because the camper had not moved in 6 months and the bus had not been driven around much. So we just kind of followed each other the first couple hours of the trip so we could make sure that everything was going well. Also on the way back, I was hauling a car. Long story short, Wayland's car broke the day before we left to go on the trip. So the elder of the church down in Tennessee lent Wayland his car, which I hauled back on a car hauler to Maine so that they have a car to drive back to Tennessee. That all happened. It was interesting because that all happened the day before we left. We had to figure out what was going on. And Wayland's brother nicely went and picked them up an hour plus away from home with the car hauler so they could get the car back and everything. Okay, so we left Tuesday morning. They went to Roanoke, Virginia, where they threw an ice cream party for the people at Heart Cry. And we drove up to Pennsylvania to see our dear friends, Rory and Leanna, who we have known. Leanna lived, stayed in our house sometimes when she was in high school. So we have a lot of good stories about her. Virginia was a baby when that happened. Yeah, we didn't have Naomi yet. Virginia was a baby. Nathaniel was like 8 or 9 when that happened. So they are now in Pennsylvania and have 7 children. And yeah, their littlest is like 6 months old and he's adorable. And so we went and stayed with them. They are great hosts. We had lots of yummy food while we were there and just a lot of time to sit and talk and visit, and it was really good. We also went to the Army Heritage Center in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It was very neat. It has, there's a bunch of volunteers who are actually military people, and outside you can see tanks and helicopters and then old buildings. So there was like these different like cabin type things. There was the ones that would have been used, were those like Vietnam era?
One was
the
Civil
first
War
ones.
era, one was World War II.
So Civil War era, there was Vietnam, I think it was Vietnam, like what it would have looked like in Vietnam, the places they built, but then also what the U.S. Army barracks would have looked like in the United States, where they would have trained, like the buildings they would have had set up there. They had like an obstacle course that the kids could try to run. They had a World War I trench and a German pillbox is what it's called. So you could like be on either side of the fighting, seeing on how those are set up. Those were neat. Those were something I had never experienced before. I had seen the types of buildings that were set up there, but those were neat, the trench and the pillbox. And then inside they have all kinds of memorabilia, and you can walk through and it teaches you how to salute like a soldier. And there's this paratrooper thing where you get in and you have to like make your parachute land you in the right spot. I actually won that game. I didn't end up in the tree like some of the people did. But it was really neat, and it's free. And so it's in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, Army Heritage Center. Very neat if you're near the area. So then we stayed with them. We got there on Tuesday night. We left their house Saturday morning early, like before they were awake. We snuck out of the house and made our way back to Maine. We got back at like 7:30 on that Saturday night. It was raining all day, and it was a really long day. I'm the only driver now in the household because Virginia moved out and Naomi has not taken driver's ed yet. In the state of Maine, you have to take driver's ed to get a license at 16.
People might not know that I can't drive.
Oh, Mark can't drive. If you're watching this video and you don't know, Mark has a neurological condition called dystonia, and he can't drive. Not that he doesn't want to. He would love to if he could, but he can't drive. So I'm the only driver for right now. Naomi will learn to drive. But in Maine, you have to take the driver's ed class. In some states, I know parents can teach a driver's ed class, but we can't do that. So she'll be taking driver's ed in July. And so it was Saturday. We drove home. We got home late because of the rain and just some traffic and other things. But my mom had nicely come up to our house. If you don't know, we live in this big house. I say big house, it's 3 bedrooms, but we live in the big house on the property, and my mom has her house, which isn't really a tiny house, but a much smaller house than this, in the backyard. And so she came up to our house and made us dinner that night, which was just really nice to come home to a hot dinner and be able to visit Grandma. We went to church the next day, and then we jumped into unpacking and doing all that stuff that comes along with that. Virginia and Wayland, God has been weaning us off of them. So we saw them at the wedding, and then they went away for a couple days, and then they stayed with us for one night and went away for a couple days. They joined us in Pennsylvania, went away for a couple days. So what day did they show up? Virginia and Wayland, Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, yeah.
So we spent Monday and Tuesday unpacking things that we had brought in, washing laundry, all of that.
Getting the camper all set up and...
Tuesday when they got home, we had to back the camper in. Oh, we also had some doctor's appointments on Tuesday. I just explained it in another video, but we had a miscarriage, baby Patience Hope. I had announced that pregnancy just a couple days after they got engaged. And so I went for an ultrasound, and God had already showed me that there might be some problems. And so we went for an ultrasound, and it confirmed that yes, I was having a miscarriage. But we had that appointment Tuesday, which led to blood work and ultrasound and that type of thing. So by the time we got home, Virginia and Wayland were here, and they had backed up the camper, and we had to clean out the septic. We had to get it all level and hooked up to electric and all of that. So that took most of the day Tuesday. And then slowly unpacking stuff I didn't want to bring stuff in and just have boxes of things around the house. So we've been bringing stuff in slowly. Wednesday, we had Waylon's help. And so we changed our bedrooms around. So I'm going to move this camera. I don't want to make anyone sick. But this is our bedroom now, which if you've watched our videos before. Hi, Mark. Okay, we're going in a circle.
I'm watching just answering.
Yeah. Well, then I'll explain that in a minute. So, okay, we're going in a full circle. Oh, I can't. I can't go in a circle. Hold on, I gotta go back. It hit the thing on the other side. It hit this little thing and it wouldn't go any further.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I didn't know if I could put it down. Okay, I didn't want to break anything. So if you've watched our videos before, you probably just realized that this was the girls' room. It is now our room. Sorry, my allergies are bothering me since we got back to Maine. This is now our room. So Wednesday, Wayland and Naomi and Virginia and Mark took the bunk beds that were in this room, moved them into what was our old bedroom, and moved our bed into here. So all the stuff that goes with moving rooms, because we had barely moved stuff in, it worked out better. And that's why we wanted to do it early. So that took most of the day Wednesday, with also moving the clothing and stuff that goes with it. Thursday, we went to the doctor's office because if you've seen any of our videos, I may have mentioned it, but when we were in Tennessee, Josiah hurt. We came home from church one day and Josiah said that his knee hurt. And so we pulled up his pant leg and his knee was really swollen. So we asked this young girl that goes to the church. There's a young teenager at the church who's kind of taken Josiah under her wing. And so when we play after church and stuff, she'll go out in the field and run with him and stuff. And so we asked her, we said, did he happen to mention getting hurt today or anything? And she said, well, at one point he said his knee hurt. And by the time we got back to where the adults were sitting, he wasn't complaining anymore. So she didn't mention anything to me. And we thought, oh, maybe he just stepped in a hole, twisted it, whatever. So talking to another friend, she suggested we could just ice it and try to get the swelling down a little bit before we went to get imaging or to the doctor. He wasn't complaining of a lot of pain. And so from what I've learned about sports medicine, Mark's evaluation, this friend's evaluation, we decided it was okay to have him stay off it a couple days, try to ice it and things. And then if we went in for imaging, they'd be able to see things better than if we went right away because he wasn't in pain. So we waited a little bit. We took him to the emergency room a few days later, because he was having seizures. It was decided that that was the best place to take him because then we wouldn't have to transfer him if he had a seizure and the other places didn't know what to do with him. So we went to the emergency room. They took x-rays and said that x-rays looked okay to follow up with orthopedic when we got back to Maine. So back to this past week, Thursday, we went to the doctor's office to get a referral for orthopedic. And the doctor told us that he thought that Josiah had Lyme arthritis, which is after you've had Lyme in your system for a while, it can kind of settle in a joint. And so his knee is actually much less swollen now. He's been on doxycycline for a few days. And it's something that there have been, a lot of people think that people in Maine, a lot of people have Lyme that maybe hasn't been tested or whatever because there's so many ticks and you can't see every little tick and all of this stuff. We have no idea when Josiah got bit. He could have been bit 2 months ago when we were in Tennessee. He could have been bit a couple years ago while we were in Maine and it just for some reason decided to affect his joint at this point. We actually had a doctor a year ago who thought that some of Josiah's problems that people are relating to CP and epilepsy might be Lyme related, but the doctor we saw was in a different context and she couldn't confirm that or not, so we never got it tested. But we went to the doctor's office on Thursday. They said, yes, we think he has Lyme. We should start doxycycline, and we got a positive Lyme test on Friday, which if you don't know about Lyme, the test gives a lot of false negatives. So it'll tell you that you're negative when you actually are positive. But his test came up positive the first time. So we are treating him for that. We are on doxycycline. I am looking up some other things. If you send me information about Lyme disease, I may not respond to you because I just have a lot of people telling me how we should treat it and all of that. I know there's lots of different ways. There's lots of different methods out there. So just don't feel bad if you write to me and I don't respond to you about Lyme disease. So that was on Thursday. Friday, we spent the day. Oh, I forgot. Back to the start of the week, I said we were unpacking and stuff. We were doing all of that. But the other thing I forgot to mention is we drove an hour away to our state capital because we had to drop off the car hauler that I hauled the car back with and go to Sam's Club to get food, lots of food. And so that took a whole bunch of time. So
to the giant party.
Yeah, well, I'm getting there. So then Friday, we spent the day with my mom prepping food because we had a giant party here on Saturday. My mom, for various reasons, it didn't make sense for her to try to get down to Tennessee in the short amount of time between the engagement and the wedding wasn't a lot of time. So the tickets were really expensive and the amount of time she could have gotten off work made it very hard for her to be able to get there for the wedding. So she decided that we should have a big party here in Maine so that Virginia's friends could celebrate with her. So we spent all day Friday putting together food. And then Saturday, we had an open house and we had, what did we find, like 75 people
Something like that.
here? It was great fun. So we had, I don't know, how old do you think the oldest person was that was here? At least 85. I would say.
Yeah,
And then
179, Dad's 80, Bump's 80.
so we had multiple 75 to 85-year-olds, which was great fun to watch them sit around and talking. There were two old Mainers talking about clamming, right? Clamming.
Yeah,
We had these like little tents set up around the yard for shade. It was really warm that day. And so different people were set up in different places. We had all kinds of different conversations going on. It was great because we've been to multiple churches in the area or known people through different things. And so seeing some of the people we knew, being able to catch up with people they hadn't seen in a long time. One of those friends was Rebecca. Her and her family, her daughter is my age. And so Rebecca and her family moved here when I was in high school. Her daughter and I were in high school. And so my mom kind of knew her through all of that. And so my mom and her got to catch up. That was really fun. We had a friend who's really involved with the abortion abolition here in Maine, because in the state of Maine, they're proposing to do abortions up till 9 months pregnant, up to birth. And we have friends that are really involved in that. And so one friend who's strongly involved in that came to the party and was able to talk to some other church leaders in the area that also came to the party. So that was neat to get them together. Just were able to make some connections with people. And so it was really, really fun. Probably the best part of the party was getting a bunch of people up and dancing, which included some of those older folks I was mentioning,
Bump was out there. She's
which was
80.
great fun. Yeah, we had an 80-year-old out there. Well, and your mom. So she's 70, 75, an 80-year-old, someone else who's probably about 70. Someone else who's probably about
71.
65 or so. Like, and then we had down to Gideon was dancing and he's less than 2. So it was really, really fun. Oh, we had a couple less than 2-year-olds because we had mamas carrying babies.
I posted
Party.
a video of us
So there's-
dancing with your mom the other night.
There's a video the next day we were dancing with just my mom, but it was the same type of dance we were doing at the party. My mom was supposed to be videotaping the dance at the party, and my mom hit the wrong button. And so she videotaped between the dancings, but not the dancing itself. So anyway, Saturday we had a big party. It was really, really fun. Sunday we went to church, which was good because the first Sunday we came to church back here in Maine, Virginia was not able to join us. They weren't here yet. So this Sunday she got to go with Wayland as a married couple. And that was really good. We got to see a bunch of people we haven't seen at the church we've been fellowshipping with here, and just see how people are doing and catch up with people. That was up till Sunday. What was yesterday? What did we do yesterday? Oh, yesterday we took a day off. We finally got a day off after all of this. Mark has been doing the heavy lifting in all of the unpacking, in meaning he's been carrying around all the heavy packages, bringing them in, and all of that stuff. And I've been doing all the decision making of where it goes. Yeah, he's over there. I'm gonna show you. He's over there laying on an ice pack because his back's bothering him. So he's been carrying the heavy boxes and doing all of that. I have been doing all the decisions because Mark can't do decisions with his neurological issue that he has. So I've been making the decisions, and it got to the point that I was like, I cannot make another decision. I need to have a day off to not make decisions. Because we're trying to move back in. We've moved bedrooms now. We're trying to adjust our schedule. We're trying to minimize stuff that we have. So some of the decision making has been put off because we moved back. And I know that I want to minimize things that we already have here in the house. So we have a lot of bookshelves, but I'm going to show you this bookshelf over here. See that bookshelf? See all the stuff on the bookshelf? So as we've brought stuff in, books have gone on the bookshelf, and I will organize that bookshelf later, but it's not sitting in the places that it's been brought into for us to then repurpose into the house. But I told Mark that we just needed a day off. So yesterday we spent the day just trying to get into our new schedule, which includes the kids starting new chores and all of that stuff. And just spending the day enjoying each other's company. And then today we did unpacking. I had another ultrasound and blood test. They were just confirming that everything was good for my body, which it is. And then Mark had a doctor's appointment. He has a doctor's appointment about every 6 months because of his asthma and stuff like that. And so, did you talk to him about your asthma? I just realized I haven't really talked to Mark about his appointment. Yep. Okay, we're good. So anyway, we had that appointment today. And then we got home, we did some more. The bus has now been totally cleaned out, which had a lot of stuff in it that we brought home. And the camper has been almost cleaned out. And the nice thing about the camper is the 2 places left to finish cleaning out. The kitchen is almost cleaned out, but I mostly have to clean out the kitchen drawers. But I know that that all goes in kitchen drawers, so that's not a big decision-making process. And then the rest of the stuff is bathroom stuff. So if I get it in here and put it in the cabinets, it'll be put away, and I can organize that on another day. So that'll be easy. We'll do that tomorrow. We also then spent a little bit of time outside because today on our 1,000 hours challenge, trying to be outside 1,000 hours over the course of this 2023 year, we hit 450 hours. So we're pretty happy with that. I was hoping to get to 450 hours by the end of the month, and we still have all day tomorrow. So we did it. We were hoping we were actually going to get to 500. That was our goal, was to get to 500 by the end of May. But we had a lot of rainy days at the end of the trip. And a lot of travel and the wedding, which the wedding was going to be all outside. And we ended up having to do it inside because the forecast changed. So we did get out some on the wedding day. But it wasn't as much time as we were going to spend out. But it just, and we got sick shortly before we left Tennessee too. We got a bad stomach virus that hit everybody within 6 hours. Like the sickness only lasted each person about 6 hours, but we had like six sick people in that 6 hours. It is. It's very hard to say. But from like 5 o'clock that night until like 1 o'clock the next morning, 6 people got sick during that time period. So, and it was like you were throwing up every 10 or 20 minutes. It was bad. So that definitely kept us inside. I have to show you the baby he rolled over. He's just really cute. He's taking up my spot on the bed. So anyway, this was just kind of, we wanted to give a update for those people who wanted to sit and watch me for 30 minutes, tell you everything we've done over the last couple weeks. That's what's going on in our lives. That's why we haven't been very involved. But we actually were talking about something in Bible today that Mark was like, you need to make a video on this. So maybe I'll make one in the next couple days. I'm hoping to make more videos now that we're home, and we'll hopefully get things settled down a little bit more. But we're not quite there yet. So just wanted to give you an update, let you know that we haven't just fallen off the face of the planet. We've just been really busy moving people, and family has needed us as we've walked through the wedding and the miscarriage and the moving back in.
Family sharing little shorts.
Yes.
For kids and stuff.
We've been sharing things so you know that we're still here, but wanted to give you an actual update of what's been going on. So that's it. Thank you for joining us on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. We'll see you guys next time.